Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Golden Bachelorette Charles Ling's time coming to an end. Is the Golden Bachelorette fan favorite Charles Ling's time coming to an end? Fans have grown to him, his sweet demeanor, and how kind he is to all around him. Yet, he also has a silly side that makes viewers gravitate to him even more. Sadly, is it almost time for him to be sent home? Keep reading for more details. Charles Ling's time coming to an end? Fans absolutely adore Charles Ling, and they think he is just the sweetest man on the Golden Bachelorette. Not only do viewers want him as the next Golden Bachelor, but they never want to see him leave. He is mild-mannered and kind, but he is sharp-witted and smart. Charles and Gary Livingston knew there were sleeping problems in the mansion. There was snoring, close quarters, and multiple bathroom breaks. So they headed to the local market to stock up on necessities. They brought back eye masks, earplugs, and more so everyone could sleep better. The best part about Charles is he is coming into himself. He loved his wife so much, and to lose her broke his heart. However, this whole experience has given him closure and allowed him to open up to love again. This has made him an absolute fan favorite and left his mark on so many people's hearts. I just love Charles. Everything about him is just so pure. Charles has such a special place in my heart. If he gets sent home, it's going to break me. Unfortunately, it looks like his time may be coming to an end, according to Daily Express US. Fans feel that he is still not over his wife and not truly ready to date. Therefore, that could be a sign Joan will send him packing. I get it. Charles is so sweet. Everyone loves him. I just can't see him making it much further. Just watched episode 3, and outside of kickball, all he has talked about is his wife. If a man was dating me and talking nonstop about his ex-wife, I'd be annoyed. Focus on your date. Charles is not ready. Good television. Other Golden Bachelorette fans felt Charles Ling made great television, and that was why he was still around. It is a TV show with the sole purpose of entertaining its audience. Charles is a great character, so he stays. He's definitely still on because he's a fan favorite. Yes, he's very sweet, but it's not a match. The general consensus is that he may be an amazing person, but he and Joan Vassos simply are not right for each other. At the same time, he might not be over his wife, but Joan openly admitted she still loves her late husband, so they all have baggage. As for when Charles will exit is unknown, but at least he is here now. The winds of change were blowing through the world of the Golden Bachelorette, and no one seemed more at the mercy of this shift than Charles Ling, the charming and eloquent widower, who had captured hearts from coast to coast with his gentle smile and poetic nature. Now stood on shaky ground as rumors swirled about his time on the show possibly coming to an end. But how did Charles, once a frontrunner, find himself in such a precarious position? Charles had been a fan favorite from the beginning. He wasn't the loudest in the room, nor did he possess the youthful energy that some of the other men brought to the competition, but there was something undeniably magnetic about him. At 67, he radiated a calm wisdom that came from a life well lived. His stories of raising his 2 daughters alone after losing his wife had tugged at heartstrings, and his love for classical music and literature made him a breath of fresh air in a sea of more traditional suitors. From the moment Charles stepped out of the limo on night 1, carrying an old leather-bound copy of Wuthering Heights as a gift for Joan Vassos, the titular Golden Bachelorette, he seemed to set himself apart. Joan's eyes lit up at the thoughtful gesture, a stark contrast to the roses and flashy displays the other men had come prepared with. Their first conversation flowed like an evening in an old-world cafe, elegant, unhurried, and filled with quiet revelations about love, loss, and second chances. It was clear from that moment that Charles was special, not just to Joan, but to the viewers who saw in him a kind of old-fashioned romanticism they hadn't expected. But the road to love on reality TV is never straightforward. As the weeks went by, the competition grew fiercer. and the initial sparks between Joan and Charles began to fade. It wasn't that Joan didn't enjoy Charles' company, far from it. Their conversations remained deep and meaningful, but there was a growing sense that something crucial was missing. Charles had a tendency to retreat into his introspective world, speaking in metaphors and quotes from classic literature, while Joan, despite her love for intellectual stimulation, began to crave more spontaneous fun and adventure. Enter Doug, the silver-haired real estate mogul from Miami, whose vibrant personality stood in stark contrast to Charles' measured demeanor. Doug was the kind of guy who planned impromptu salsa lessons by the pool, whisking Joan away on a helicopter ride at a moment's notice. Where Charles spoke of love as a delicate, timeless force, Doug embodied passion, lively, unpredictable, and exciting. And Joan, as much as she respected Charles, found herself drawn to the fire and excitement Doug brought into her life. As the final rose ceremony loomed, the atmosphere on set shifted. Charles, ever perceptive, began to sense the change in Joan's energy. She laughed more freely with Doug, her eyes twinkling in a way they hadn't for weeks. Though he had tried to shake off the feeling, the weight of inevitable heartbreak began to settle on Charles' shoulders. In a quiet moment by the fire pit, just days before the final decision, Charles opened up to Joan in a way he hadn't before. He told her about the nights he spent awake, replaying every interaction in his mind, wondering if there was more he could have done to show her the depths of his feelings. Joan listened, her hand resting on his, but there was a sadness in her eyes that told Charles everything he needed to know. "Charles," she began softly, "you are one of the most remarkable men I've ever met. But sometimes I feel like we're living in two different stories. You've given me so much to think about, and I treasure every moment we've shared. But I need to be honest with myself, and with you." The words hung in the air like the final notes of a somber symphony. For Charles, it was a moment of clarity. He had known all along, deep down, that Joan's heart was leading her elsewhere. Still, hearing it out loud stung in a way he hadn't anticipated. But ever the gentleman, Charles smiled, nodded, and thanked Joan for her honesty. "I suppose not every love story has a happy ending," he said, quoting his favorite novel one last time. "But that doesn't make it any less beautiful." The next day, rumors on set began to circulate that Charles was preparing to leave the show. Producers were torn. Charles had been a cornerstone of the season, a fan favorite whose departure would surely send shockwaves through the viewership. But Charles had always been a man of dignity, and dragging out his heartbreak for the sake of drama wasn't in his nature. As he packed his bags, a quiet resignation settling over him, Charles reflected on the journey. He had come on the Golden Bachelorette, looking for a second chance at love, and though things hadn't turned out as he had hoped, he felt grateful for the experience. He had made lifelong friends among the other contestants, shared memories he would cherish forever, and even opened his heart again, a heart he thought had been closed off for good after his wife's passing. In a final interview before his departure, Charles left viewers with words that would resonate long after the episode aired. "Love, like life, is full of surprises. Sometimes it sweeps you off your feet, and sometimes it teaches you to stand on your own again. I'm leaving here with no regrets, knowing that my story isn't over. It's just taking a different path." As the camera faded to black, it was clear that while Charles Ling's time on the Golden Bachelorette might be coming to an end, his impact on the show, and on the hearts of its viewers, would endure long after the final rose was handed out. And somewhere, perhaps in the quiet corners of a bookshop or beneath the canopy of a late autumn sky, Charles would find the next chapter of his story waiting for him.